As October comes to an end, we look back on moments that shaped our world, from revolutions and discoveries to art, science, and courage. Throughout human history, every day has carried a story, a discovery, a revolution, a moment that shaped our world. This video is the result of deep historical research, combined with advanced AI visuals and data from reliable archives, including sources such as history.com, Britannica, and onthisday.com. Our mission is simple: to bring knowledge closer, to preserve the truth of our past, and to let history speak again, clearly, factually, and beautifully. Join us as we journey across time, exploring every date, every turning point, and every legacy that made October one of the most remarkable months in human history. October 1st. On October 1st, 1949, the People's Republic of China was formally proclaimed in Beijing, marking the rise of a new nation under Mao Zedong. In 1971, Walt Disney World opened in Florida, creating a new era of imagination and entertainment. And in 2017, Catalonia held an independence referendum that shook European politics. October 2nd. On this day in 1869, Mahatma Gandhi was born in India, a leader who transformed global politics through peace and non-violence. In 1950, the legendary comic strip Peanuts by Charles Schulz was published, introducing the world to Charlie Brown and Snoopy. And in 1968, the Tlatelolco massacre in Mexico left a deep scar in history, as students were silenced just before the Olympic Games.
On this day in
October 3rd, 1990, Germany was officially reunified after decades of division between East and West, symbolizing hope and unity. In 1952, the United Kingdom conducted its first atomic test in Australia, entering the nuclear age. And in 1993, the Battle of Mogadishu took place in Somalia, later inspiring the story Black Hawk Down. October 4th. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, beginning the space age. In 1993, Russia faced a constitutional crisis in Moscow, leading to violent clashes near the parliament.
On est libre.
And in 1985, the Free Software Foundation was founded, shaping the future of open technology. October 5th. In 1962, Dr. No, the first James Bond film, premiered, launching one of cinema's most enduring legends. On the same day, the Beatles released their first single, Love Me Do, changing music forever. And in 1988, Chile voted to end the rule of General Pinochet, a victory for democracy in South America. October 6th. On October 6th, 1973, the Yom Kippur War began, as Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel. In 1981, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat was assassinated during a military parade in Cairo. And in 1995, 51 Pegasi b became the first planet discovered orbiting a star outside our solar system. October 7th. On this day in 1959, the Soviet probe Luna 3 took the first photos of the far side of the moon. In 2001, the United States began airstrikes in Afghanistan, marking the start of a new era in global conflict. And in 1949, the German Democratic Republic was officially established in East Berlin. October 8th. In 1871, the Great Chicago Fire broke out, destroying thousands of buildings and reshaping the city forever. In 1956, Don Larson pitched the only perfect game in World Series history. And in 2001, US forces continued their offensive against Taliban positions in Afghanistan. October 9th. On October 9th, 1967, revolutionary Che Guevara was executed in Bolivia, ending one of the 20th century's most famous rebellions. In 1986, the musical The Phantom of the Opera premiered in London, becoming a global phenomenon. And in 2006, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test, shaking world security. October 10th. In 1911, the Wuchang Uprising in China sparked the revolution that ended over 2,000 years of imperial rule. In 1970, Fiji gained independence from British rule. And in 1963, the Vajont Dam disaster in Italy took the lives of nearly 2,000 people after a massive landslide. October 11th. On October 11th, 1968, NASA launched Apollo 7, the first successful crewed mission of the Apollo program, paving the way to the moon. In 1986, US President Ronald Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev met in Reykjavik, Iceland, in a tense yet historic nuclear arms discussion. And in 2018, Hurricane Michael struck Florida, becoming one of the most powerful storms in US history. October the 12th. On this day in 1492, Christopher Columbus reached the Americas, marking the beginning of European exploration and colonization. In 1960, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev made headlines at the United Nations by banging his shoe on the table during a debate. And in 2000, the USS Cole was attacked by terrorists in Yemen, killing 17 American sailors. October 13th. On October 13th, 1307, the Knights Templar were arrested in France under orders from King Philip IV, starting centuries of legends and mysteries. In 1972, a Uruguayan flight crashed in the Andes Mountains. Survivors endured unimaginable hardship for 72 days. And in 2010, 33 Chilean miners were dramatically rescued after being trapped underground for 69 days. October 14th. In 1947, Chuck Yeager became the first person to break the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 aircraft, a milestone in aviation. In 1964, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his non-violent struggle for equality. And in 2012, Felix Baumgartner leapt from the edge of space, breaking the sound barrier during free fall. October 15th. On October 15th, 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar, the one we still use today. In 1917, Mata Hari, accused of being a spy, was executed in France during World War I. And in 1990, Mikhail Gorbachev was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in easing Cold War tensions. October 16th. On this day in 1793, Marie Antoinette, the last Queen of France before the Revolution, was executed in Paris. In 1946, 10 Nazi war criminals were executed following the Nuremberg trials. And in 1978, Cardinal Karol Wojtyła was elected Pope John Paul II, the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. October 17th. On October 17th, 1931, gangster Al Capone was convicted of tax evasion, ending his reign of crime in Chicago. In 1979, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her lifelong service to humanity. And in 1989, a powerful earthquake struck San Francisco just before the World Series baseball game, causing massive destruction. October 18th. On this day in 1867, the United States formally took possession of Alaska from Russia, a purchase once mocked as Seward's folly. In 1962, Dr. James Watson and Dr. Francis Crick received the Nobel Prize for discovering the structure of DNA. And in 2011, protesters around the world united for the Occupy movement, demanding economic fairness. October 19th. In 1781, British General Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown, effectively ending the American Revolutionary War. In 1987, global stock markets crashed in what became known as Black Monday. And in 2005, Saddam Hussein went on trial in Baghdad for crimes against humanity. October 20th. On October 20th, 1944, U.S. forces under General Douglas MacArthur returned to the Philippines, fulfilling his famous promise, "I shall return." In 1973, the Sydney Opera House was officially opened, a modern architectural wonder. And in 2011, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was captured and killed, ending over 40 years of dictatorship. October 21st. In 1805, Admiral Lord Nelson achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Trafalgar, securing Britain's naval supremacy, though he lost his life in the fight. In 1879, Thomas Edison successfully tested his first practical electric light bulb, forever changing the way humanity lives. And in 1967, thousands marched to the Pentagon in a historic anti-Vietnam War protest. October 22nd. On this day in 1962, U.S. President John F. Kennedy addressed the world, revealing Soviet missiles in Cuba, a moment that brought humanity to the brink of nuclear war. In 1975, the Soviet spacecraft Venera 9 sent back the first images from the surface of Venus. And in 2022, Rishi Sunak became the first British Prime Minister of Indian descent. October 23rd. In 4004 BC, according to Archbishop Usha's calculations, the world was created on this date, a belief once widely held. In 1942, the Second Battle of El Alamein began, marking a turning point in World War II. And in 2001, Apple introduced the first iPod, revolutionizing how people listen to music. October 24th. On October 24th, 1857, the world's first soccer club, Sheffield FC, was founded in England. In 1929, the US stock market began to crash, the start of the Great Depression. And in 1945, the United Nations was officially established, promoting peace and cooperation across nations. October 25th. In 1854, the charge of the Light Brigade took place during the Crimean War, a brave but tragic military blunder. In 1881, gunfire erupted at the OK Corral, marking one of the most famous shootouts in the American Wild West. And in 2001, the US Congress passed the Patriot Act, expanding government surveillance powers after 9/11. October 26th. On this day in 1774, the First Continental Congress adjourned in Philadelphia, setting the stage for American independence. In 1863, the Football Association was founded in London, creating the modern rules of soccer. And in 1881, the legendary gunfight at the OK Corral made Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday famous names in history. October 28th. In 1886, the Statue of Liberty was dedicated in New York Harbor, a timeless symbol of freedom and hope. In 1929, Wall Street crashed, deepening the Great Depression. And in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis ended peacefully, as the Soviet Union agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba. October 29th. On October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday marked the worst stock market crash in U.S. history. In 1969, the first message was sent over ARPANET, the early form of the Internet. And in 1998, John Glenn returned to space aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery at age 77, inspiring generations. October 30th. In 1938, Orson Welles' radio broadcast of the War of the Worlds caused mass panic as listeners believed Earth was under attack by Martians. In 1947, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, was signed, laying the foundation for modern global trade. And in 1961, the Soviet Union detonated the Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear weapon ever tested. October 31st. On October 31st, 1517, Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to a church door in Wittenberg, igniting the Protestant Reformation. In 1926, the legendary escape artist Harry Houdini died in Detroit. And in 1941, Mount Rushmore was completed, carving 4 presidents into stone as a tribute to American history. As October comes to an end, we look back on moments that shaped our world, from revolutions and discoveries to art, science, and courage. Each day, history whispers lessons of triumph, and failure, reminding us that the human journey is endless. Through wars and peace, dreams and disasters, we move forward, writing the next chapter together. This was October, a journey through history, researched deeply and brought to life with the power of AI and storytelling, to keep the memory of our past alive.
We need your support to grow and bring you more stories. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.